Hi, I read something today that really just floored me, to be honest with you. I'm going to talk today about the healthcare bill. Um, Personally, I believe that this bill is going to be proved to be unconstitutional, and it appears that several attorney generals from the states of Texas, Alabama, North Dakota, Colorado, Michigan are discussing collective legal action. Um, The reason they're doing this is there's something called that they're calling the Nebraska Compromise. It's where uh, the Democratic powers that be basically brokered a special deal with the state of Nebraska, so it'll be treated in a widely divergent manner than any other state, basically making it an us against them situation. Nebraska is going to be cut about a $75 million a year break, which means the other 49 states are going to have to carry that extra additional burden that Nebraska's not going to have to carry, um, which isn't right. But that in itself is wrong. But what was really appalling is a comment that the the House Majority Whip, a Democratic Senator James Clyburn from South Carolina, made. And I'm going to quote him here. Quote, rather than sitting here and carping about what Nelson got for Nebraska, I would say to my friends on the other side of the aisle, let's get together and see what we can get for South Carolina. Unquote. Senator Clyburn, what kind of rock did you climb out from underneath? You see, people, the issue here is this. Our country was founded on the premises that everyone is created equal. Everyone should carry an equal share. Basically, that everyone has an equal opportunity to thrive. Okay? In one fell swoop, in a compromise, everybody in Nebraska is being held to a little more special position. And Senator Clyburn and the other Democratic leaders of the House and the Senate seem to believe that's just fine. Well, that's wrong. Drastically wrong. Really, if you look at the rest of the press releases, comments, so on and so forth, they're talking about disbursement of monies. That Nebraska will get more, or this state will get more, or get this. Where do the monies go? They don't go to you as an individual, they go to your treasuries, the state treasuries. We're talking about money here. We're not talking about benefits. We're not talking about whether you as an individual citizen in each state is worth or are going to get a benefit of X number of dollars a year. You're talking about X number of dollars a state has to pay for so on and so forth. Well, you know that anytime you pay a state, there's a little slice taken off and a little slice taken off and a little slice taken off. So it comes down along the line that everybody gets fed to the bottom. That is distribution of wealth or redistribution of wealth. Now, I really think we should stop thinking about whether or not this bill or these bills are constitutional or not. I really think we need to start looking at the actions of the congressmen. You see, the Democratic leadership, and this is not just something that's a problem with the Democrats. This is a two-party system. This is both sides of the same coin doing this. But in this case, the Democrats have been doing these negotiations behind closed doors. They're not releasing the documentation. They're not even writing the bills before they vote on them. Go to C-SPAN and you'll see comment after comment that one senator hasn't gotten the last 300 pages or the most changed 300 pages, or there's been a change to this 300 pages and we haven't gotten that copy yet, but we're voting on it. Anybody who votes on that has breached their fiduciary responsibility. Anybody who votes yes on it has definitely done so. because they haven't read what they're voting on, especially if it hasn't been written. You don't buy a car without having a contract. They shouldn't be voting on laws that aren't on paper, because those are contracts. They're contracts between the government and the people. And if they're not written, you don't know what's being said. So, if we're redistributing money, and the powers that be are in the process of doing that, and there's power grabs and so on and so forth, wouldn't it be more intelligent to sit there and look at the RICO statutes and see if the RICO statutes could be applied to the Congress and senators' actions? I believe so. I believe we, the people, need to stand up. We need to talk to our state representatives, the people who actually go to the state house here in the states we live in. We need to talk to them because they're in our neighborhoods. They're the guy around the corner. You can go into their office and talk to them. You need to go to your state capitol and talk to your governor also. You need to talk to the attorney general, and you need to demand that investigations being held for your elected officials in Washington, D.C. that are not doing their job properly. They're not reading the legislation they're voting on. They're cutting back channel deals. They're cutting deals that are illegal, unconstitutional. That would qualify as organized crime. See, the RICO statutes were put in place to bust organized crime, specifically the mafia. Well, doesn't it really seem that these career politicians have become more like a mob than respected members of an honored organization? I believe so. And it hit me earlier today. That's what we have going on here. We have an unchecked criminal organization redistributing the wealth of our country, whether in the form of money taxes to go to banks, TARP, which was not written fully before it was voted on. It was not properly debated, and it was crammed down the throat. Cap and trade, which has been moving along. President Obama sitting here and saying, okay, I'm going to use the EPA to administratively or bureaucratically enforce our carbon emissions cuts that I'm going to negotiate without Senate approval. Now we have health care bill, the House and the Senate versions. I believe it has come a point in time that we need to stop looking at impeachment and need to start looking at criminal prosecution. Senators and congressmen, be put on notice. We're looking at how we can use the existing laws to stop your actions. In this series, people, I've been asking you to ask questions. I've been trying to prompt you to think. Ask questions of your politicians. Ask questions of each other. Ask questions of your state and local representatives. Ask questions. Find answers. Ask a question and get the answer to the question you asked. Because remember, a true seeker of truth, asks questions on their path to find truth. Let's stand up, stand together, and end this. Apathy will be the death of our nation. We can do better.